Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hastia Nursanti Syukur. My ID student is 120060007. I am from PBI 1A, and this video I will explain about ancient period. The beginning of ancient period. Celt inhabited England. They are still relatively primitive and they used the language of Celt. In 50 AC, Rome invaded to England permanently and made English provincial Roman Empire, and the natives acquired civilization. But 410 Roman soldiers pulled back from the England, and circumstances that led to the Roman nation was not able to withstand the Germanic peoples who attacked them, who came from the northern German region, Jutes, Anglo-Saxon. Their language is Old English or English Saxon, and then became Middle English, and now became Modern English, and a new civilization occurred, the spreading of Christian. The monasteries built and centers of knowledge from the spoken to written culture. The next is poetry. Old English literature is divided into two groups, which is included in the first group is the literacy brought by the Germanic tribe from their home country in Europe, and the old one is only in oral form. Which belong to the second group is the center, which was created after the tribe settled on the island of England. But this two literary group can be preserved until now in written form, thanks to the entry of Christianity in the British Isles. In the monk who collect and write down the product of the center. Therefore, the two literary groups, after being written down, are inseparable from Christian influence. The characteristic of poetry usually are: poem reflect serious and gloomy feelings, sensitive to nature and believed to destiny, prominence of manhood and loyalty, and last is most poems are religious. The greatest work of literature of English is Beowulf. Beowulf is the longest epic poem in Old English, the language spoken in Anglo-Saxon England before the Norman conquest. More than 3,000 lines long, Beowulf relates to the exploit of its eponymous hero and his successive battle with a monster named Grendel, with Grendel's revengeful mother, and with a dragon which was guarding a hoard of treasure. And this is the short story of Beowulf. Beowulf is a classical tale of the dream of good over evil and divided naughty into three acts. The poem opened in Denmark, where Grendel is terrorizing the kingdom. The Geatish prince Beowulf hears of his neighbor plight and sails to their aid with a band of warriors. Beowulf encounters Grendel in unarmed combat and deals the monster its death blow by ripping off its arm. There is much rejoicing among the Danes, but Grendel's loathsome mother takes her revenge and makes a brutal attack upon the king's hall. Beowulf seeks out the hag in her water lair and slay her after an unlikely struggle. Once more, there's much rejoicing, and Beowulf is rewarded by many gifts. The poems culminate 50 years later in Beowulf's old age. Now king of the Geats, his own realm is faced with a rampaging dragon, which had been guarding a treasure hoard. Beowulf entered the dragon's mouth and killed his pew, but not before he himself has been fatally wounded. Beowulf closed with king's funeral and a lament for a dead hero. And this is the Beowulf poems. Next is other Anglo-Saxon poem. There is Sea War, Thorns Runs, Leaping as an Expatriate, Leaping as a Ministerial, the Battle of Burnburn, the Battle of Maldon, the Seafarer, the Rain. And next is early English poets. First is Caedmon. Caedmon is the first English poet as well as being the first named poet in English literary tradition. He is also a significant figure in history of people who hate singing in public, people who develop new talent later in life, and cowherd. Although we might imagine that English first poet will have been a highly educated individual, Caedmon was in fact a cowherd at the monastery of Whitby who did not take religious order until he was well advanced in years. In this sense, Caedmon is a remarkable figure in British history, as he is one of the few not-elite figures to get a mention. Caedmon's work and the story of his life are described in the lexical history of English people written by the 8th century monk Bede. The greatest work of Caedmon is Paraphrasm, containing Genesis, Exodus stories. The next one is Sinewulf. Sinewulf was without question a literate and educated man, since there is no other way we can account for the ripeness which he displayed in his poetry. Given the subject matter of his poetry, he was likely a man in holy order, and the deep Christian knowledge conveyed through his verse implies that he was well learned in ecclesiastical and hagiographical literature, as well as the dogma and the doctrine of the Catholic Church. His apparent reliance on Latin search for inspiration also meant he knew the Latin language, and this, of course, would correlate with him being a man of the church. Sinewulf is a well-attested Anglo-Saxon given name, literally meaning king wolf. Sinewulf of Lindisfarne is a possible candidate for Sinewulf the poet. Thus, the argument that the post-elaborate religious pieces must lend themselves to the scholarship and faith of the proportional ecclesiastical speaking with authority, but this conclusion is not universally accepted. Alternative suggestion for the poet identity include Sinewulf, a Dunwich priest, and Sinewulf, above Peterborough. And the greatest work from Sinewulf is The Christ, Julian, and the Post of Apostles and Allen, and the Peonic. The next part is the invention of Scandinavian. There is Northumbria destroyed, all cultural heritage and literary works destroyed, only small fragments remain and written in West section, and the last is the end of Anglo-Saxon literature period. Next is prosaic period. Pastoral care by Paus Georgius first translated ecclesiastical history the English people by Bede. Historical events were recorded for two countries, Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, Universal History and Geography by Orosius, Consolation of Philosophy by Boethius. King Alfred became the first pioneer of English prose. Last, thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry if I had mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.